So let me tell you what happens to Rumi. He's born in a religious environment, but we're talking about religion in a very ritualistic way. You go to church every Sunday, you read the Bible every night. There is no longing. It's just something you do. It's like eating or going to the bathroom. And then this man is about, 50 or so, maybe 40. He runs into Rumi when Rumi is only 21. Rumi looks interesting, but he's a kid. He knows a lot of things. He's like instructors on campus. Oh yeah, I've read the dialogues of Plato. I've read Foucault. Heidegger, oh yeah. Kierkegaard, Sartre, I've read them all. That's Rumi, He's read a lot of books. And he's worshipped by his town. And you know what happens when you're the object of someone's worship or a community's of worship? Man, your arrogance, your hubris is from here to the moon. It's huge. And then despite the fact that Shams loves Rumi, he says, he's not ready. I want to create inside him a longing, a yearning, a brokenness that will be inside him for the rest of his life. He waits. He waits and waits and waits until Rumi is about 38 years old. That is a great teacher, man, who knows that you have a talent, but also knows you're going to waste it. You're going to waste your own talent. You're also going to waste the teachings of Socrates because you don't have ears that know how to listen well. You don't have eyes that see well. So your longing will stay for a year and then disappear. And Shams knows all of this. What's the use of yearning if it's going to be forgotten? Why waste energy on it? So Shams waits and waits and waits, and Rumi is about 38. He comes to realize that he's read enough books. Rumi has. He has been worshipped for about 20 years. But there are these moments inside Rumi, where he just wakes up. If you want them to be broken in the right way, you need students who follow the steps given to us by Abraham Maslow. Make sure they are physically healthy, that they have food in their belly, they have parents who love them, they have a place they can rest their heads on, that they have friends, that they have a job, that they have money. Because when you have a home, it becomes indifferent after a while. When you have parents, they become indifferent after a while. When you have degrees, they become indifferent after a while. When you're married, it becomes irrelevant after a while. When you have kids, they don't take too much space inside you after a while because they go and live their own lives. When you have power, physical power, it becomes irrelevant after a while. Now you're hungry. You're hungry for something you don't see, you don't know. And yet something inside you is restless. And that particular restlessness can't be pacified, can't be numbed by sex, by drugs, by money, by walking to class and talking. You're broken, you're ready. Now Shams enters. But you see, good teachers, they don't just possess information. They don't just possess knowledge. There is something about them that is mysterious. They have been touched by something. They may not even know what it is themselves, but you feel it, you know it, you can intuit it. And every time you want to touch what lives inside your teacher, Shams or Jesus Christ, you reach for it. You see, like the way you reach for Beatrice? But you say, I touch him or her, but I'm not really quite sure if I can get what I'm looking for, if I can see what I'm looking for. It's always beyond my reach, and I don't know why. And so he looks at Rumi one day as Rumi is giving a sermon in front of 400 of his students. And he looks at him and says, Rumi, you're Rumi? He says, yeah. I am Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi Balkhi. And this Shams al-Tabriz looks at him and says, you suck as a human being, you suck as a teacher, you suck as a Muslim. But it's really, really strange because Rumi knows all of that. But you see, the closest people to you will always lie to you. They will always worship you, but in all the wrong ways. You need someone from the outside who really loves these parts in you that can't be touched by anything physical. And the moment the class is over, he runs after this man. And he has this line in the Masnavi that, I look at you and I fall in love with your beard. And Rumi says, I want someone to look at me and fall in love with my soul. But in order for you to fall in love with someone's soul, you need to have a soul yourself. And you need to have access to your soul. Because if you don't have a soul, all you have is imagination, assumption. And that's going to backfire eventually. Rumi, this young man with a good amount of privilege, takes this old man, about 20 years older than he is. He takes him into his house. He goes into the study, locks the door, and tells his wife, leave our food outside. Don't come in. Leave our tea outside. Don't knock on the door. I don't want to be disturbed. For weeks, it's just this old man and this young kid. And no one knows what actually took place behind closed doors. No one knows what sort of intimacy they had. Rumi never expressed what took place behind closed doors. What takes place between you and your teacher must always remain behind closed doors. You must never express them to elevate your own status. Never. Never use them as a form of gossip. But he has had a community, 400 people who worship him on a daily basis. Who is this old man who has taken our teacher away from us? Now you have jealousy. Now you have anger. And Rumi does something really interesting. To keep his teacher there, he says, I will give you my daughter. How old is his daughter? 12. How old is Shams? 60. How could Rumi love this old man more than his own daughter? How could Abraham sacrifice Isaac or Ishmael to please God? When you love something or someone for the right reasons, when they are unreachable, when they are a mystery, you will sacrifice whatever. You don't even care. But you better make sure that your love is not love of colors. عشق‌هایی که از پی رنگی بود عشق نبود عاقبت ننگی بود. That if you love someone because they look good, give it some time, soon they'll have wrinkles. If you love someone because they smell good, give it some time, soon they will sweat and they'll smell bad. If you love someone because they speak well, just wait. After a while you realize they have nothing more to say. Colors. Passage of time removes all things that are attractive, except that which is a mystery. In the third, commandment, don't have the word God in your mouth. Don't speak it. It's far too sacred. Allow it to be a mystery. Don't give it any images, because then you'll worship the image as opposed to the thing itself. But there comes a point where Shams says, this place is no good for me. He leaves. He doesn't tell Rumi anything. Shams just leaves. What do you think is going to happen to your longing? If from 1 to 100, when you're with Shams and he creates all this longing inside you, you're at 60. When he leaves without any notice, you're like 99.999, you're about to explode. What did I do? Where is he? He is my only vehicle to the mystery. Through him. Remember the Gospel of John, where he says, I am the light, I am the bread. Before Abraham, if you want to get to the Father, you have to go through me. Who the hell is able to reach God, man? I can't go to the moon, but let me talk to someone who's been there. And through his stories, I can imagine what the moon is like. Shams is the only person who can contain Rumi's longing that's caused by separation, by mystery. And then he leaves, and you're about to explode. So he sends out all these people, go out there, look for him. They find him, they bring him back. And they lock themselves in a room for another few weeks, and then he leaves. There are stories, his son, Rumi's son, killed Shams, or maybe he just disappeared. And then something very interesting happens. Rumi becomes like Plato. Rumi becomes like St. Paul. Rumi becomes like Augustine. Rumi becomes like St. Francis of Assisi. He writes 700 poems, all dedicated to his teacher. I mean, talk about a man in whom yearning caused by separation from his teacher is so intense that he sits and prays, worships his church, synagogue, temple, pen and paper. And then something magical happens. He says, I don't care about Shams anymore, man. Shams lives inside me now. For I and the Father are one and the same. And he writes his masterpiece, the Masnavi. 6 books. Doesn't refer to Shams anymore. I am Shams, he says. My book is the Persian Quran. You don't need to know Arabic. You don't need to read the Quran. Read the Masnavi. His longing and yearning lasted for about 20 years or so. The last 5 to 7 years of his life, he couldn't write. Not a single word. He was a corpse, a while alive. You know, the thing with esoteric philosophy, mystical philosophy, the right religious philosophy, is that they get you in touch with something that you can touch, either with your physical body or with your imagination. There'll be some experiences once every 10 years. And the problem with this particular union is that it stays with you for 10 seconds. It'll feel as if you've been in it for like 5 years. It's only 10 seconds. And then it goes away. And then your longing is multiplied 1,000-fold. You feel the separation, the angst, the dread. Everyone longs, everybody does. You just need to have a very unique human being to come into your life to create a longing that will last a lifetime. You have to bleed, man. Your heart is always going to be broken, and you need to know how to live with it.